Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. 4,000 years ago, Egyptian sailors pushed their ships into a red shimmering sea. The wind fills linen sails. The smell of salt, resin, and fear hangs in the air. These men are not going to war. They are not chasing an enemy. They are searching for a place so rich, so strange, that even the most powerful civilization on earth at the time believed it bordered on myth. They are searching for the Kingdom of Punt. And here's the unsettling part. We know these voyages happened. We have carvings, inscriptions, and names of kings. We know what Punt traded. We know what its people looked like, but we do not know where it was. And then at some point, it simply vanishes from history. No ruins clearly labeled. No city walls we can point to. No capital uncovered. Just silence. The story of Punt begins not with legend, but with stone. In temples across ancient Egypt. Especially during the reign of Queen Hatshepsut around 1500 BCE, walls were carved with astonishing detail. These reliefs don't show gods or battles. They show ships arriving at a foreign shore, tall incense trees being uprooted and carried back alive, gold rings stacked like bread, exotic animals, and people, men and women of Punt depicted with individuality, not as enemies, but as partners. One woman stands out in particular. Her name, according to the inscription, is Queen Ati of Punt. She is shown seated beside her husband, the ruler Rahu. Her body is drawn differently from Egyptian norms, almost exaggerated. Some early European scholars mocked this depiction, calling it grotesque or symbolic. Modern researchers believe it was simply honest, a real person, a real queen. That detail matters, because it tells us Punt wasn't a fantasy land. It wasn't a metaphor, it was real enough for Egypt to record its rulers by name. The Egyptians called Punt Necha, the land of the gods, not because it was imaginary, but because it supplied things Egypt could not live without. Frankincense and myrrh, used in religious rituals, medicine, and mummification, came primarily from Punt. So did gold, ebony, ivory, and rare animal skins. Without Punt, Egypt's temples would go silent. Its gods would lack offerings. Its dead would not journey properly into the afterlife. In a very real sense, Punt helped sustain Egyptian civilization itself. So where was it? That question has haunted historians for centuries. Ancient texts describe Punt as reachable by sea, sometimes by land, sometimes by both. Egyptian ships sailed south along the Red Sea, guided by stars and coastlines we can still trace today. That immediately narrows the field to northeast Africa, but that's where certainty ends. Some scholars argue Punt was located in modern-day Eritrea or eastern Sudan. Others point to northern Somalia, where frankincense trees still grow naturally. A few suggest parts of Ethiopia. Each theory fits some evidence and contradicts another. And here's the frustrating truth. No archaeological site has ever been definitively confirmed as Punt. No inscription that says, "You are now entering Punt." No city ruins that match Egyptian descriptions perfectly. For a civilization so important to Egypt, Punt leaves an almost ghostly footprint. What we do know comes entirely from outsiders from Egyptian records. And that's where the mystery deepens, because history written by one side is never the full story. The people of Punt did not leave us written texts, at least none we've found. Their voices survive only through how Egypt described them. And for centuries, colonial-era historians took that absence and turned it into erasure. European scholars in the 19th and early 20th centuries often dismissed Punt as vague or exaggerated. Some insisted such a wealthy trading partner couldn't have existed in Africa without external influence. Others quietly shifted Punt closer to Arabia, uncomfortable with the idea that a powerful African kingdom once supplied Egypt's spiritual lifeblood. But modern science has complicated those old assumptions. Chemical analysis of ancient Egyptian incense has traced its botanical origin to the Horn of Africa. Genetic studies of baboons mummified in Egypt, animals explicitly described as coming from Punt, point to modern Eritrea and Somalia. These are not guesses. They are physical fingerprints across time. Punt was African, so why can't we find it? One answer may be unsettlingly simple. It didn't exist the way we expect civilizations to exist. We tend to look for capitals, stone cities, and massive ruins because that's what survived elsewhere. But Punt may have been a network, not a city. A chain of coastal ports, inland trade routes, and seasonal settlements tied together by commerce rather than monuments. If that's true, then Punt didn't collapse, it dissolved. Trade routes shifted, climate patterns changed, Egyptian power waned. And without foreign demand holding it together, Punt faded back into the landscape, absorbed by time and later kingdoms. There's also another possibility. Punt may not be lost. It may be misnamed. The descendants of Punt's people could still live in the Horn of Africa today. Their history fragmented by colonial borders and rewritten narratives. Their ancestors' achievements reduced to footnotes because they didn't build pyramids of stone. Only systems of trade, ecology, and survival that left lighter marks on the earth. And this is where the mystery stops being ancient and becomes modern. Because the disappearance of Punt isn't just about archaeology. It's about how history decides what matters. Civilizations without writing are called prehistoric. Civilizations without ruins are called primitive. Civilizations remembered only by others are called uncertain, but Punt fed Egypt's gods. It stood as an equal trading partner to one of history's greatest empires. It had kings and queens, diplomacy, and global reach, and yet, for centuries, it was treated like a rumor. Today, archaeologists are still searching, carefully, slowly, often in regions destabilized by war and modern neglect. Every new find raises hope, every absence raises doubt. And maybe that's fitting, because Punt was known to the Egyptians not as a place you conquer, but as a place you journey to, carefully, respectfully, and with humility, a land that gave and then withdrew. So the next time you hear that Africa's history is incomplete or unknowable, remember Punt, a kingdom powerful enough to shape an empire, important enough to be carved into temple walls, and elusive enough to remind us that history doesn't disappear. Sometimes, it's simply waiting for us to learn how to look differently, and somewhere along the Red Sea coast, beneath sand and salt and silence, Punt may still be there, watching as the world slowly remembers it existed at all. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please consider subscribing for more stories like this.